Greetings, greetings, everyone. Welcome to Crypto Coffee with Todd Lewis, June 1st edition. I cannot believe it is already June 1st. That's kind of awesome. Todd has his coffee. We have a special guest who's typing in the background, Max Freeman, and he's going to be joining us. Now, this is a big cup of coffee. You may think it's water, but that's just because you're perceiving it wrong. Or it could be that I forgot my coffee because it's 11 a.m. Eastern time. Already had mine. Hello, everyone in the chat. We love you. Smash that like button and hit the subscribe button, okay? I've been at 2,910 subscribers for about 6 months. I don't know what YouTube's trying to tell me, but either that's a lie or I'm shadow banned. Probably the latter. Okay, so hey, what is this show all about, guys? I am going to show you something. This is the quest for superior money, and I'm going to share my screen. You all have seen this already if you've been paying attention. Is Todd Lewis and I started, and then Max is joining in to where we wanted to go through, and it's great, Max, that you're on too, because when you and Todd got together, and after the campfire songs and the kumbaya,
the
snuggling, yes, I'm trying to find my mouse over here so I can show you. Dang it, where the heck is it? I hate this. All right, bear with me. There it is. There's the mount. So when you set out to create Epic Cash, it really was a quest because you wanted to create superior money, not just a better Bitcoin, but superior money. And we have listed all of the positive attributes and qualities that you considered, if you are going to have superior money, that if it's on this list, that should likely be considered. And if you want to be the best money in the world, ultimately the world's reserve currency, it better include all of these. And so what do? We go through every week and we reveal the boxes, because if you look here, I can check on that. Immutable. Epic is immutable. So with Todd's help, Max, your help, those watching are going to get an education on what is immutable in this case. And then you can see we've already gone through this process with several of the attributes. Today, I want to touch back on fungibility, and I want to talk about immutability, borderless, neutral. But first, I want to unclick that. And I want to go down here to fungible. Why is fungible important? Let me show you. I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to start sharing this one. This just came out. Max, did you see this in the chats, Todd?
Yes, I did.
It looks like Bottle Pay is starting to blacklist certain BTC addresses. Max or Todd, can you share how what this has to do with fungibility and how this?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Great. So and Todd, of course, you're welcome to jump in. I remember we were putting the fun back in fungibility before it was cool, all the way back in 2019. I think probably like half our time spent discussing stuff back in the early days of Epic was fungibility related.
Max, real quickly, so people can have context right away. I'm just going to quickly read these two paragraphs. It says, it looks like Bottle Pay is starting to blacklist certain BTC addresses. Hi, today I try to make a payment to the IPTV services that I always use, and I was surprised to have received an email from Bottle Pay stating that this address does not comply to their requirements. I had to resort to transfer the amount to my non-custodial wallet and then send the amount to the same address. This is quite a disappointment, as I didn't expect that from Bottle Pay, to be honest. Has anyone else experienced anything similar? So I just wanted that out there as context, so we're not going over people's heads.
Yeah. That's great. So basically, what's going on here is that in Bitcoin Core, it matters which coins you have. They're not fungible. They're not interchangeable. They're more like diamonds than quarters in your pocket. You need to care about which one you get and evaluate them individually. So what happens is you have discrimination by service providers. Bottle Pay says, oh, you cannot pay for this IPTV service because we don't like it for whatever reason. The technical capability exists to filter and exclude and discriminate against individual people based on arbitrary criteria, and Epic does not have that. So Epic is able to be universal. If you can take an Epic payment, all Epic is the same. This type of thing cannot happen in our design.
Okay, Todd, what are your thoughts on this scenario?
I mean, it's easy to see coming. This has been this is a known problem with traditional legacy blockchains for a long time. I mean, that's what this is all about, is when you are doing all your transactions out in the open where everybody can see all the details, all the amounts, all the addresses, then you're begging for political control, right? And regulators and governments are putting rules in for regulated entities to enforce these things. And I feel like we have no one but ourselves to blame. It's an engineering problem, and we have an engineering solution to it. And that solution is Mimblewimble.
I love that. For the uninitiated, can you quickly remind us again what Mimblewimble is and what the side benefits are?
Mimblewimble is the core algorithm in Epic Cash, and it is a way of putting transactions onto the blockchain without revealing addresses or quantities. So you can think of like every chunk of currency on the Epic blockchain as being like its own little mini wallet. It's not a single address. It's just a distinct transaction, right? Mm-hmm. With an output that's sitting there. And what Mimblewimble does is Mimblewimble lets you provide a mathematical proof for a transaction. And it proves that the quantity of coins coming out of the transaction is equal to the quantity of coins coming into the transaction. Mm-hmm. But it does so without showing the quantities. And so the chain has confidence that you're not sending one coin in and 100 coins out, right? Which would destroy the utility of the currency. But no one can see the quantities. So you and I do some coins come in, you and I do a transaction, you and Max do a transaction, Max and I do a transaction. No one can tell from the outside where the coins are flowing through this network of transactions. And so when you have an Epic, it is just an Epic. You don't know whom it came from, and no one outside can see the quantities. All you have are either someone's presenting you valid Epic or they're not.
Okay.
And only the participants to the transaction can see what the quantities are.
All right. Can you then compare that with a Bitcoin transaction? What happens with that?
In Bitcoin, the data on the blockchain is, 2 coins come in and 1.5 goes to this guy, and the change, the 50 cents left over goes to the change bucket, the UTXO, the unspent transaction output. And everyone can see the wallet address that it was sent from and sent to. Everyone can see the quantities. And so if you are, let's pick a really happy government, a really non-oppressive government. Let's talk about the Canadian government. If you're the Canadian government and you're plagued by terroristic parkers, right?
Yes.
We're talking commando meter maid brigade here, right? Where you got to swoop in with the black helicopters and deal with all these people doing the illegal parking.
like the mother truckers of the world. I mean,
mother truckers of the world. Yeah, the danger.
It's very risky having mother trucker in our community. It kind of puts a bullseye on our back.
It was a national parking emergency. All right. Then you can come in and say, these are the people that we know are affiliated with this movement, and we're going to block all their coins, and we're going to stop them from being deposited in Canadian Bitcoin exchanges, and we're going to lock up their accounts in Canadian Bitcoin exchanges, and we're going to forbid the flow of funds to people doing political protest, peaceful political protest against a government, because terroristic parking cannot be tolerated. And you might agree with that political decision, and you might not. I'm not even expressing an opinion on it. I'm just noting the historical fact.
Mm-hmm.
It was illegal parking. It was declared a national emergency, and Bitcoins were locked up. And you might like that political decision. You might not like that political decision. To me, the politics of it are irrelevant. It's an engineering problem.
Mm.
It's an engineering problem. It's disrupting the function of the blockchain as a means of payment and as an ability to use the cryptocurrency as a uniform commodity and make transactions as the owners wish to make transactions. That's the technical requirements of the system, right? That's the engineering challenge that we have in front of us. And legacy blockchains are imperfect in this regard, and they're imperfect for a very simple reason. It's not that the engineers who built them were bad engineers. It's that at the time, we did not have the technology to solve the problem. We just didn't have a solution. Humanity hadn't invented it yet.
So
Mimblewimble, that changed.
Mimblewimble basically has empowered Epic, our blockchain, to be non-political, or we don't. It's not possible for some political outsider to put the thumbprint on the engineering behind the transactions. Correct.
Yeah, Epic gives you the tools to do transactions and have them flow. You know, one of the original sayings about the internet was the internet interprets censorship as damage and routes around it. And with Epic Chain, you can do the exact same thing.
Okay. What is Blockstream?
Max?
Oh boy, 2-minute timer, go. Yeah, so Blockstream, do you know what a goiter is?
Is that something in your body that you have removed?
I'm glad we're on video. Todd, you know what a goiter is. Okay, how about a remora? You know what a remora is? All right. So if you have a thyroid deficiency, if you've ever been to San Francisco, Chinatown, if you don't get enough iodine, I think it is, basically, you know, you have this like alien looking thing hanging off your neck. It looks like a
oh yes, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Or like a remora is a little like a sucker fish that attaches to the side of a whale and rides along. So it's a parasitic invasive species, you know, I guess you could say. CoinGeek.com, my friend Kurt Wilkert Jr., the chief Bitcoin historian, has a lot of great content on what he calls the crypto crime cartel. So basically, Blockstream is a company that controls the direction of technical development for the Bitcoin Core software. And they have a direct financial interest in crippling the capacity of the Bitcoin Core layer 1 so that they can drive transactions to their captive sidechain deals that they control, such as Liquid and Lightning. So basically, if you imagine strangling the base layer so that people have to go scale on L2, lightning. That's all we've been hearing for 5 years. The guys behind that, that's Blockstream. And so why are they doing that? Well, they got $140 million from people like Henry DeCastries at AXA, all the typical WEF bankster prime suspects. Blockstream is the agency by which Bitcoin Core became strangled, in my opinion.
And Blockstream is the one that literally is a $20 billion business, as I understand it, that their job is to surveil the Bitcoin blockchain.
No,
Or
you're thinking probably Chainalysis.
oh yes.
Chainalysis, Elliptic. Yeah, there's chain surveillance companies that work hand in glove with Blockstream to monetize the loss of privacy on the base layer. When you think about like, okay, why is there even this opportunity for Epic? How, if you have a market leader that's on the king of the hill, how do monopolies become less dominant? They become deaf to market forces. And in this case, the technology exists to improve Bitcoin and do the types of things that we've done with Epic, but they choose not to do it because it directly benefits them to keep it the way it is. So you basically got this cartel type structure in place. It's partially about the development direction, the Blockstream guys, partially about the mining sector, the Bitmain guys, but essentially you've got all these people imposing taxes and additional barriers and frictions. People are making a lot of money off this thing. And so you go back and read the white paper and it's like peer-to-peer electronic cash without permission and without trust, censorship resistance, decentralized, all that stuff. I got news for you. That was 2009. That is not today. In 2022, the sad reality of the dystopian surveillance panopticon that is the Bitcoin Core chain, I directly trace that to the $140 million that Bitcoin Core, or not Bitcoin Core, Blockstream got in 2014.
So let's use this as a jumping off point here. Let's look at surveillance resistant. I am guessing that I chose check for Epic and X I did for Bitcoin. Let me finish and then the three of us can discuss. I have a check for gold being surveillance resistant.
Wait, how is gold surveillance resistant? How do you hide?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Two men enter, one man leave. Cage match.
Gold is fungible at the atomic level.
Surveillance resistant. I don't know if I have a bunch of gold and silver buried in my backyard. Is anybody going to be able to tell?
No, but when you transact it, how do you get the value out? You need to, like if you had gold coins. If you had gold coins sewed into your coat and you're a German Jew in the 1940s trying to get across the border, if it's discovered, it's going to be taken. And so right now, like you cannot ship gold around the world like you used to 3 years ago. I've got a friend that runs a business in Singapore, and he had a business plan that depended on being able to ship to 150 countries. And now he can't ship to those 150 countries because of, quote, COVID restrictions. So I do not say that gold is surveillance resistant. Absolutely not.
Good thing it's crypto coffee with Todd Lewis. I'm pulling rank here, man. Like, go get your own damn show, Max.
But did I get Federal Reserve notes in the CBDCs?
I believe you did.
Yeah, and
hey guys,
yes.
Guys, I'm sorry. I have an urgent science request here. We have a diagram of an arm with bones and muscles and fingers, and our junior
that's awesome.
Our junior tester and bottle washer here wanted to share his technical work of the morning. So
it looks like he's going to be a future physician, maybe a surgeon, maybe he'll operate on someone's arms to fix them.
This is what coffee time is like, is we have
awesome.
Kids who just woke up.
Yeah, we like kids with bad head.
All right. Can you go do more body stuff, and Dad does more internet cryptocurrency stuff?
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for sharing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So here's the argument for gold being surveillance resistant, right? It is fungible. And certainly when you get to scale, it's very fungible because it can just be smelted. You can melt down the coins and recast them. You can say it. It's a uniform commodity, and it is pretty straightforward to move gold across borders. And there are plenty of examples of this. Gold's easy to smuggle. Gold's easy to hide. All right. But that's not surveillance. Surveillance is when you do a transaction, do other people have knowledge of it? That's the definition of what surveillance is here, right? Can people see your transactions? And gold transactions can be done in person in an alley. They can be done without surveillance. There's nothing in the fundamental technology of gold that facilitates surveillance, and that distinguishes it fundamentally from Bitcoin or dollars, right?
Okay, why dollars? Because somebody can, $20 is $20.
Now that's interesting. The physical dollars are only partially surveillable, okay? Because you can do private physical transactions and those cannot be surveilled, same as gold, right?
Okay.
But when you deposit the dollars, they are traced. The serial numbers on the dollars are traced in the banking system. So every time, so when dollars are removed from or deposited back into the banking system, that part is surveilled.
They are
so I would call physical currency partially surveillable, right?
Okay.
And the Federal Reserve System digital entries, which are the real dollar, are 100% surveillable. And also, of course, this is why, the U.S. used to have $10,000 bills, and Nixon in the middle of a currency shock in 1972 eliminated the high dollar physical bills. And why did he do it? He said it in the White House at a press conference. It's to stop people from being able to do private transactions.
Wow.
And that is why the largest denomination of the dollar remains 50 years later, the $100 bill, which in gold price terms at the time, $35 an ounce, was 2.5 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
Today, that'd be a $5,000 bill.
Wow.
Right. And so as inflation has reduced the purchasing power of the largest piece of US currency from 5,000 current dollars to 100 current dollars, and it continues to decline. What are the odds they're ever going to do a $500 physical bill? Like it's nil. Right?
Yeah.
Everything they want is cashless and digital. And why? Yeah. For surveillance. So the future of the US dollar is absolutely pro-surveillance. And that's a core strategy of the dollar system.
I'm just going to insert in here, Monkman, if you can find that clip of Nixon saying that at a press conference, that would be pretty cool to insert.
The only people who use large quantities of cash are mobsters and organized crime and nefarious things.
Okay, so but we all agree that no,
I completely forgot. It gets worse.
Okay.
If you use physical dollars to do large transactions in the United States and you do not proactively disclose it to the federal government, you are committing a felony and you will go to jail. All right. So that's the other. I'm sorry.
If I use, like, if I want to go pay $20,000 cash for a car, that's illegal.
Absolutely illegal. You're in Florida, Unc. You should know this. It's Florida that put the pee in the pool on this one, man. It's all about drug dealers, and it's all about precisely drug dealers in Miami going to the car dealership and paying $80,000 for a car with a trunk full of $100 bills. That's why they put it in place.
Wow. I remember the story, Max, when Mars was telling us that he kicked ass in a poker game, and he went and he bought himself, he plucked that, $100,000 down on the table. And now you're telling me that was illegal, Todd Lewis?
You have to disclose it to the federal government. You have to file the paperwork disclosing your cash transactions. And if you break it into pieces so that it's less than $10,000 a transaction, that is also a felony. That's a different felony.
That one's called structuring.
And you will go to prison. So I feel completely confident calling physical dollars traceable for that reason, with that caveat and asterisk, and gold for the same reason. Gold cannot be surveilled, right?
But this makes me kind of sad for all the drug dealers out there. That's made their lives hard.
I prefer to call them unlicensed pharmacologists.
There you go. Okay, but Epic Cash, we don't have that problem. So we are the only one left standing on that hill, and we're going to leave the debate on gold between you two for another another day.
It is a valid observation about gold. There are issues with
Yeah.
gold, and you could put an asterisk there if you want to.
Okay.
Epic is the only one without an asterisk.
Okay, there's no asterisk there.
If I can see it, Todd, thank you for that. You're right. It's great that we're recording this type of stuff, because inherent in the design of all our stuff is hours and hours, like endless chunks of Todd and I's lives going over stuff like this, but we never recorded it so other people could hear, and now they can. But I'm not ready to concede on gold fungibility, because we're talking about money, and I don't need to beat this horse now, but just we can come back to it at another point. If we're talking about gold as money, the fact that it is fungible at a large scale and you can melt it and all this stuff, I have conducted experiments with selling physical gold around the world over many years, and I can tell you that if you have a 1/10 ounce coin or a 1 ounce coin or a Kruger Rand, or the practicalities of gold, as far as like anybody that tells me gold is fungible has not spent a lot of time like transacting in actual gold. And so give it a check mark, the same as Epic, without like discussing that, misses a lot of the important substance.
And okay. I think that's fair criticism.
Right? Good.
But
I just want to let it.
We continue to look forward to the gold cage match episode.
Yeah. By the way, Todd, you got to read my shirt.
My wife says I don't listen, I think. Yeah.
We have to do that. Oh,
hold on, Uncle. Speaking of cage match, Oscar Mozharov, UFC fighter, fighting this Saturday. Shelly D, thank you for overnighting the shirts. I'm going to give it to him today. Oscar Mozharov has 350,000 Instagram followers. He's going to be walking on to his fight this Saturday wearing an Epic shirt and raising funds for his native Ukraine in Epic Fund Me. So you mentioned cage match. I thought I would throw that out there.
Hey, Max, can you please in t.me/Epic Cash, you or someone, find the exact details? I presume that's a pay-per-view, but if we could do that, I would love to.
We'll get on it today.
Love to watch that. I would love to watch that. That'd be very cool. I'm going to film it.
Yeah, I met with him for dinner last night, or maybe the night before last. Yeah, absolutely. Young Batuhan in Turkey, who's been making magic over there and viewing his Epic position as his small business. I could see the light bulb go off on this young man's head as he was considering his post martial arts career financial possibilities, and he and his young bride, who's his manager, were just overflowing with enthusiasm about the possibilities of what they can do with this. So doors are definitely opening. Yeah, how about that, Mike?
Hey, Mike, everybody, I want to show you this right now. I want everyone to put your hands up. Ooh, and I have this green thing because I gave blood this morning. And that's not a virtue signal. It was just a medical thing I had to do. But we need to send all kinds of positive vibes to New York City, NASDAQ, this building right now, right exactly now. Mike Momola is being interviewed at the NASDAQ, and he has been preparing very well. I'm not going to say very hard, because I don't think anything comes hard to Mike Momola. He's just seems to be a natural at everything. But I really cannot wait for this to be recorded, edited, the B-roll provided, and then there's going to be about a 7 to 10 minute. Basically, it's going to end up being a very good infomercial for Epic Cash. Max, do you want to talk about it? This is the New to the Street initiative, and it's happening today thanks to you, the community.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is ECIP M001 Epicenter Investment Proposal. If you go back through the EC Live slides from the prior weeks, you can see the links in there. So this is a great example community coming together to make focus action happen. So New to the Street it is an outfit that does media for projects. They started in stocks and now they've branched out into crypto that are new to Wall Street. They have relationships with Bloomberg, Fox Business, Newsmax, and so on. And instead of coming to us and asking for money, hey, pay us and we'll go promote the standard marketing model, they said we want to partner with you to bring our capabilities for awareness building and use those resources to build a position in Epic. And so long story short, we ended up co-crafting a proposal, ECIP M001, where over the course of 6 months, the community has agreed to pay them 25,000 Epic coins, 10,000 of which have already been paid, and 30,000 stable coins, USDC or Tether, 5,000 per month to cover their production costs. And so what we've got is an engaged marketing partner that can get us in front of millions of normal people that are not into crypto. They're not on Telegram. They're not on Discord. They're not reading CoinDesk. These are normal, everyday people that are mainly focused on stocks, and they're just barely becoming more crypto curious by the day. Right. They're increasingly willing to dip their toe in the water. It's not the beginning of the end for crypto. It's the end of the beginning. It's about to be prime time. And so getting out in front of those audiences and having the capacity to handle them means that we're really primed for success on a massive scale. Like never before. And also the template of how we engaged as a community with these guys really serves as a model for doing more things like that. Koresh Tony is doing a rap video in Russia. I saw some Japanese content come out. There's stuff in Korean, in Arabic, in Farsi. We're developing the organizational capability to do many things like this in parallel, simultaneously.
Good question, Tillman, in the chat. Will it be uploaded to YouTube as well? And I will tell you, absolutely it will. We're getting permission from them to be able to do that after it airs. But it will air. Like the cool thing is about this segment is just the first of, I believe, 3 or 4, and each segment will be farmed out to like NASDAQ TV or Newsmax. They can take this interview and then play it on Bloomberg TV as well. So the cool thing is that you have a just right person in Mike Momola who's going to speak the just right language to people who are likely, the demographic is 50 years plus, primarily male, and they are very, very savvy at investing in stocks, but likely don't know much more than how to spell Bitcoin necessarily. So it's really cool how Mike is going to be introducing Epic Cash as by educating that the king of the hill, we're not bashing it at all, Bitcoin, it is amazing. It's the father, mother of crypto. But he's going to educate of what our advanced technology is all about without making their eyes gloss over. And it's just going to be really, really cool. And we secured a website. It's not operational yet, but it will be. And you are going to love it when it is, but it will be by the time this airs. And it's epic.tech. That's going to be so helpful to all of us, to where no matter who it is, whether it's Mike speaking on air or you or me, we can simply tell people, hey, you want to acquire some Epic Cash? Really easy. Go to buyepiccash.com. So stay tuned to that. So yay, Mike, and yay, Todd Lewis and Max on all the tech that is behind Epic Cash that makes it possible for him to go with great confidence and speak to that. I do. Let's see. Let's go back to here. I have a question for both of you because I am reordering these. I'm working with Spencer because I just want to organize them differently, and I'll tell you why later. But I kind of came upon means of payment and medium of exchange. Are those not the same? Can we get rid of
Which
one of
two?
them? Means of payment, and then I have medium of exchange down below.
They're not exactly the same. I mean, it's a choice how you define it, but I think of means of payment as how much acceptance there is in the marketplace. Like all those, we accept Epic cash signs, right? How many of those are there, and what percentage of GDP does it cover? And the medium of exchange is more a technical question of whether it can be used as a medium of exchange. That's how I perceive them.
Okay, so let's go to medium means of payment then. Epic, means of payment. Bitcoin, means of payment. Gold, means of payment. Fed Reserve notes, means of payment. Digital credits, means of payment.
I think also, yeah, sorry to interrupt here, Uncle, but just if you want to pull me in to the thread with Spencer, I can help put some of this together. The way I bucket it in my mind is, okay, with the functions of what makes superior money: store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account. Within store of value, inflation resistant is very important to that, but it's not as important for the medium of exchange use case, because that's more day to day, whereas store of inflation is a long-term phenomenon. You feel it over months and years and lifetimes rather than today. So we could kind of group it into SOV, MOE, and UOA, and then which of these attributes would really most affect those. That would make it from a like 25 item massive wall to something more structured. Just an
and
idea.
Uncle, you keep sandbagging me on these things, man. Like you I mean, it's supposed to be coffee hour with Todd Lewis, and I still haven't seen all of your answers for all of these questions. You like every week you come in and you surprise me by with the big reveal, and you ask me, Todd, why are these things right that you've never seen before?
Well, I'm going to continue that. That is part of
it. Hey, it makes for good TV.
It's part of the action. If you knew all the answers, people would not take me for honest. But
something else we could do is we could add a glossary where we put a definition behind each of these things to be more explicit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like this one, like this one on page.
Oh, snap!
And on page 3.
Well, okay.
Let's
1 + 1 = 11. That if somebody out there in the audience is wants to volunteer and help out, it would be great to throw this glossary up on encyclopediafreemania.com so that we've got this info out there, and then we can start to flesh it out.
Max, okay. Let me get through this series first with Todd before we start spinning up all of these other groups and and reorganizing everything. Let's just get through this freaking series, and then the final one we can sit down and say, okay, we explored all of these. Now let's organize it, present it, publish it, and then we can do whatever we want. It'll be a great tool, but let's not fix everything while we're running the race. All right, so I want to go down here. We have means of payment as perceived, because we all perceive these to be check marks. And we were going to say this for like the last show, but I think right now let's cover it. Means of payment restricted, right? Because
look at the definition.
Yeah, sure. Means of payment. Bear with me. Unit of account. Maybe this is why I was questioning means of payment, because we don't have it. Because I think that when Spencer was going through this, he bucketed medium of exchange with means of payment.
Let's fix it offline and go to one we can do.
Okay. So do you not want to go through restricted?
Nah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Todd Lewis, you tell me, what do you want to go through next? What's just going to get you jazzed this morning?
Max, which one can you and I riff on? Which one would you like?
Cage match.
Or things we agree on. I enjoy that too.
Yeah. Are you there, Max?
Yeah, I'm just on mute.
Okay. How about, this seems to be, I think, near and dear to both your hearts. How about being
That's
available
my personal
to
favorite.
unbanked? Let's go through that. Available to the unbanked. I have Epic as yes. Bitcoin, no. Gold, yes. Federal Reserve notes, yes. And the digital credits, no. Did I get those right?
I'm not so sure. Because when I think of the unbanked, I especially think of the third world, right?
Yes.
That's where the bulk of the unbanked are. Now the unbanked in the United States do have access to physical Federal Reserve notes. That's how they do most of their financial transactions.
Yes.
But the unbanked in the Amazon or in sub-Saharan Africa or in India do not have access to Federal Reserve notes.
Not Federal Reserve, but wouldn't they have their own money?
In especially in African countries, a lot of times the currencies are troublesome. Let's put it that way, right?
Mm.
Or in southern Venezuela, in the more jungle parts of Venezuela, you might have access to bolivars, but what good does it do you? It's the world's worst currency, right? So you could that one's a judgment call. Gold, I don't think the unbanked really have access to gold as a practical means of money, right? Silver usually serves that function historically more so than gold. So if you wanted to say gold, like precious metals, then maybe, but physical coins have problems as a medium of exchange because of just physical durability. They get worn down over time. And
indestructibility, they can be lost, right?
Well, I mean, digital currency can be lost too, Max.
Yeah, but I mean, you can I can't make a backup. I can make a backup copy of my seed words and stick it in 3 places. I can't do that with the physical gold.
That's true.
But okay, I'm going to be the third wheel here. Available to the unbanked. I just think the unbanked are folks that don't have a bank account, and I think that it may not be practical that they would get some precious metals, but they could.
Fair enough. Then, okay, well then, under that interpretation, why is Bitcoin an X?
Because you have to
be careful.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Shoes on the other foot, huh? All
right. So practically, well, you could say the same thing about Epic then, right?
You absolutely could. And above all, I think we should be honest here, right? I mean, I think if Epic's a check, then Bitcoin probably should be a check too.
What do you think, Max?
Sorry, I was on mute. Which one is this again? Available to the unbanked?
For the unbanked. If Epic's an X, Todd submits that Bitcoin should be an X.
A check.
I mean, a check. I'm sorry.
No, no, because if I'm okay, 5% of the U.S. Population is unbanked, 20% is underbanked. In other countries, like let's say to the extent of African rainforest or end of a dirt road somewhere, if you look at the practical realities of how these different groups of people would get their hands on Epic versus get their hands on Bitcoin Core, it's completely different. First of all, the fees on Bitcoin Core, an average of $2, that prices most of the $2 a day crowd out. And because in practice, the most people who would want to buy it would need to go through, I mean, yes, you can technically still find ways around this, but 99% is KYC type centralized intermediaries, Coinbase type outfits. You can't play in Bitcoin Core unless you have the identity documents to pass KYC. Whereas in Epic, you just download a miner and you're good to go. Download a wallet, you're good to go. Hit up a DEX, you're good to go. Transactions are under a penny instead of $2. So I am not ready to concede on this one. They're not the same at all.
Well,
Okay.
and those are valid points, but the reason I disagree with you is not that those observations are wrong, but rather what's the nature of this analysis? To me, it's an analysis of the fundamental technology, not the particular market circumstance, right? And the fact that Bitcoin fees are high, I mean, gold fees are high too. The transaction costs on gold are higher than they are on Bitcoin, but we have that as a check. So I think we should be consistent, right? If gold and Epic are a check, then I think Bitcoin should be a check.
But we are on the quest for superior money.
Asterisk.
Asterisk. So asterisk for BTC, Bitcoin, and gold, and Federal Reserve notes.
I'm just saying that some of these are unequivocal and 100%, and others there's scope for disagreement and getting into.
Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Then here's where it gets interesting. This is where we could go down a deeper rabbit hole. If you look at the left where it says score, at the end of this exercise, we're going to go score all of these. When according to you two, this is going to be that's going to be a real fun episode. Serious. To where you're going to weight, each one of these, which is the most important from your prioritization standpoint. And then if you recall, Todd, there was one week, I think it was the second week, where you wanted to weight each check, inside means of payment check. What am I going to weight that? In comparison across, so if you went to available for the unbanked, that could be a, 9 out of 10 for Epic, but it would be a, 1 out of 10 for Bitcoin. And for
well, and that's fine, but I think access to the unbanked can be made pretty simple. Okay. Is it possible to get it without a bank account? For the first 4, the answer is yes. For the final one, the answer is no.
Max?
And then your argument is just, well, it's more difficult for X, or the costs are higher for the X, or the practicalities are higher for the
just
X.
because I can hop in the ocean and technically swim to Australia doesn't mean that I can swim to Australia. But if you want to talk about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, like whatever. I mean, I think we're all nodding our heads on the individual substantive points, but semantics of description and so on. I'm flexible, so we don't need to keep beating this one. I care about things. Yeah,
Max, if we define it as just without a bank account, is it possible, without regard to difficulty or cost? Then under that definition, are you okay giving Bitcoin a check?
Then we should change this to say not is it possible, because again, I can hop in the ocean and technically swim to Australia. It is possible. Is it reasonably achievable or something like that? Instead of possible, let's change it to some word that describes like, okay, if billions of people need to use this, what fraction of those billions of people are going to? Like let's shine a light on that distinction there, because if you define it slightly differently,
I don't think that's what we're doing here. I think we're trying to analyze the fundamentals of how these different systems work. It's not a market analysis, it's an engineering analysis.
Well, for me, it's trying to determine, okay, if you are going to create superior money, you got to take all of these things into consideration. And I think Epic gets checks because you have gone down the path to take every one of these in very serious consideration. But does the same hold true? Could superior money be Bitcoin when it comes to available to the unbanked?
I'll go. We're so Todd. We all bring our the perspective. We see the world through different lenses. You're an engineer, so you said we're talking about the engineering, technical, functional properties of this, and I'd say no. This is the quest for superior money. Money is about the market applicability of in a commodity, in this case, a synthetic monetary commodity, to be used as money. And so, I would say that you're right on describing the technical functional details, but in terms of relevance out to the market, like I can download torrents from Pirate Bay and get the actual video onto my local computing device by transferring it to my TV by doing a USB stick. But if I can access that same content through Apple TV over my my streaming box, then that difference in form factor, that convenience, makes it more likely that I'm willing to pay the $1.99. And so I think here those details really matter. We're trying to find the quest for superior money, and the moneyness of it is more important than it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white. It matters how it catches mice. So let's focus on the mice catching aspect here.
All right.
My feeling.
Then let's do one that's I think relevant today and should be a layup, but confiscation resistant. Oops, shoot, what did I do? Can I go back up to present? Oh man. Oh, this makes me mad, guys. How the heck do I get this back into presentation mode?
There's that little triangle in the middle there. Yeah.
You demand. Thank you. Confiscation resistant. Now, oh gosh. All right, let's get that out of there. I did something. I guess I enabled comments. I don't want to do that.
Hit escape.
Okay. How do I delete? All right, now if I hit confiscation, there we go. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. See the sausage making going on, everyone?
Please stand by for tech support.
Okay, confiscation resistant. Absolutely X.
That one's a slam dunk.
Yeah, gold. Absolutely X. Absolutely X for Federal Reserve notes.
Well. Really? I mean, the way that they outlawed gold was the way they confiscated gold was they systematically outlawed its exchange and ownership. And then a lot of people still kept their gold, but you couldn't transact in it. And if you got caught, it was illegal and whatnot. They could do the same with Federal Reserve notes, but they haven't yet.
Mm-hmm. So.
But it is not resistant to confiscation. It is very prone to confiscation in a variety of ways.
How? It's a physical asset.
Indian demonetization, the 2000 rupee note.
Oh,
wake up overnight,
yeah.
You can't spend them.
Yeah, if they demonetize it, then absolutely.
Old style Benjamins are no longer valid.
You have convinced me, my good friend.
All right.
Yay! Good to justify my presence every now and again.
I will note a historical counterexample, which I don't think undercuts your point, which is even after the fall of Saddam Hussein's government in Iraq, people still used the old Iraqi government's banknotes as money just because it was handy and in widespread use. Even though it had been officially demonetized by the government, But I think that's more the exception than the rule. If you have a stable, powerful government, they certainly can demonetize the physical notes. And you are right, it has been done in the past. So I stand corrected.
All right, this one I love, survivable. I would love for you to, well, let's go look at, see how we define survivability. Polyphasic.
Oh, dear God.
Is this bad? Do we need to change the definitions? Polyphasic proof of work mining algorithms distributed per community. DAO governance assures egalitarian coin distribution for the long run.
Well, even if coin distribution is egalitarian, that doesn't have anything to do with survivability.
Okay. Hey, you know what? You know what, everyone out there? Start ugly. Whenever you're going to do anything, you start ugly. We could beat this up and try to get it before perfect.
Todd, I think you and I are the kings of starting ugly, man.
Yeah, we are. We are. It wasn't until Pretty Boy gets on here that everything, just kind of derailed, and we're now we're discovering we got to change some definitions. To me, survivable, what that meant to me is, when I was answering it, was could somebody take it out at the knees? Right? Could there be an attack? And because of our multi-algo mining, to me, I don't know if you can say anything is 100% survivable, could be a meteor up there. I don't know. But here's my answers. You guys, we can discuss afterwards. I have X. I have check for gold, X, and X. Agree, disagree for any of that? Cash, we're seeing that just melting away right now.
I think survivability is a really fascinating one, because if you asked me years ago, I would have said the Bitcoin Core was survivable based on the censorship resistance of the original design. But now, if you look at it, because of the way the development direction has been driven, you've really got a weak spot there around the long-term integrity of the economics of the mining aspect of SHA-256. So for epic survivability, multi-algorithm is one part of it, because we are not subject to that. Also, I think in terms of quantum readiness, there are threats on the horizon that are not worrisome today, but they could become so, and we've got the capability to defend against that by moving to structured lattice algorithms in a way that that others do not. And so, not just survivability as a yes or no exercise. Of course, we pass with flying colors, but also getting into the weeds on all the different ways that we are protected against threats that others are not. Like when the tide goes out and who's swimming naked. We haven't really seen that type of stuff yet in crypto, but we will. And imagine antibacterial spray killing off 99.999% of the staph cells in the petri dish, and then the one that's left takes over. I think that's really how we're positioned, or at least that's how I look at it.
What do you think, Todd? Toddy?
I think there's I think there's a lot of people in cryptocurrency who are unfamiliar with the history of cryptography.
Absolutely.
And there is a long history in cryptography of algorithms which people rely on, and then mathematical innovation happens and the algorithms fail, or computation advances in power until the protection of the algorithm fades away into irrelevance. MD5, SHA1, RC4, the earlier block encryption algorithms. There's this trail of dead bodies, of broken cryptography systems. And there's even a big literature on ways that current cryptography systems could be broken, and it's an area of very active research. I'm not aware of any cryptography algorithm in the world that has a fundamental proof of its unbreakability. It's not a mathematical fact, it's an engineering belief, and those are not the same thing.
Mm.
We don't have the mathematical tools to prove mathematically that cryptography algorithms are unbreakable. We don't have a proof of the minimum computational cost to compute the answer to the cryptography question for any class of cryptography algorithms. And therefore, our use of them is based on the belief, but not the knowledge, that they cannot be broken. And history has lots of examples of them being broken. And with that being the case, we made a design choice, I think radical is a fair word for it. We stand almost alone in this, to have our proof of work algorithms be multi-algorithm, to use multiple proof of work algorithms in the Epic blockchain, and to have it be flexible to allow the introduction of new proof of work algorithms. And because the system was designed to be multi-algorithmic from the beginning, the addition of new algorithms to the system is very, very easy, right? Mm-hmm. The next one we're going to do is a quantum resistant algorithm, which we are going to put in place and run on our test net and have be working and ready with a sign that says break glass in case of cryptographic emergency.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with any other project out there that has thought this far ahead and is doing something similar?
The conventional wisdom in cryptocurrencies is that you can't make multi-algorithm proof of work function properly. And that analysis is very shallow and wrong. Is just wrong. And no one examines this because just about everybody in the cryptocurrency space just does a copy paste, they just copy paste from the previous examples and accept the accepted wisdom without being very critical about it. Because again, there's a real dearth of cryptographic expertise in the cryptocurrency community. And on some of these fundamental issues, a lack of clear thinking about it. I'm very proud of that design decision, which came from Max, by the way.
Do you remember, Todd, do you remember back in the early days before we launched, arguing with those Monero maxis that were telling us, oh, you idiots, like all I have to do is get 51% of one of your algorithms, like you just destroyed your security, whatever. And like the smartest thinkers in the room were arrogantly, condescendingly talking down to us as if we didn't know what we were doing. And we were just like, hey, wait a minute, like, would you just like think about this for 30 seconds?
I remember 2 phone calls with those skeptics. Yeah. Where they make the 50% argument, and we take them through why adding multi-algorithm actually makes you more resistant to a 51% attack, not less resistant to a 51% attack. To which their very snarky response was,
yeah.
I do have a good question in here. What will happen when we split like the block wars?
We won't. So we've got consensus around what we're doing. There's no major disagreements. Scalability is core to what we're doing. We have a plan. Right now, the Epic network is configured as a 1 megabyte.
Max is getting a call.
Sorry. One. That's my 9 a.m. I shot him an email saying I'm running a little late. So Epic is a 1 megabyte block, 60 seconds. ECK, our forthcoming Canary network, allows us to test different configurations and see where it breaks, so we can fix it and know what's safe to pull into Epic. But basically, the scaling path goes like this. The reason we won't have a block size war, Shia versus Sunni, Bitcoin Cash versus BSV versus Bitcoin Core holy war type of thing is because we know what we need to do to scale, and it goes something like this. So as we take the block size up from 1 megabytes to 2 megabytes, and the block size down from, or block time down from 60 seconds to 50 seconds, so 2 megs to 4 megs, 50 seconds to 40 seconds, 4 megs to 8 megs, 40 seconds to 30 seconds, 8 to 16, 30 seconds to 25, 20 seconds, 32 megs, 15 seconds, 64 megs, and finally 10 seconds, 128 megs. So assuming we can do that, and we think we can, we get into the thousands of transactions per second. Our primary competitor is at 10 minutes. We're at 1 minute. So we're on the way from 10 minutes, 1 minute, now down to 10 seconds. And also we're scaling the throughput in a very dramatic fashion because of the multiplier effect of shrinking block time and increased block size. Our friends over at BSV are pushing gigabyte blocks. So we don't even know where we'll bump up against performance limits, but we've really got a lot of scalability in the chain, not only in that way, but in the availability to shard out the proof of work using the different algorithms. I think it'll take probably 5-10 years for the rest of the industry to fully appreciate the future proofing that we baked into the design from the very beginning.
Okay, I'm going to ask one last question of each of you. Just it's an extrapolation from a question from Jasper. If you had to take a look at one particular attribute on this quest for superior money that that would survive long term, what would it be, or that would allow us or enable us or empower us to survive? What would it be?
I've written down my answer. What's yours, Max?
You go first.
No. I've written mine down.
Can you rephrase the question more concisely, Todd?
What's
my
the most important aspect for survivability of a cryptocurrency?
Censorship resistance.
Oh man.
What do you have there?
Fungibility. I thought we were going to nail it.
This is like a nested, like recursive fractal in a way. I think fungibility.
They are almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. So fungibility comes from, in this case, confidentiality. The fact that you can't discriminate against individual coins based on amounts and addresses. So there's that. The reason I would say censorship resistance is further up the hierarchy stack than fungibility. You can't have one without the other. Is if the system can be shut down or your access to it can be blocked, then you don't really have much of anything because you have the bottle pay type problem. And so for me, like none of these systems have much value if they don't have censorship resistance, because once they get to a big enough size where they're inconvenient for somebody to go and throw a stick in the spokes, they can exist, but then they get blown up. I mean, the flaws in Terra Luna were known.
Brings us to regulation friendly. I'm just going to click those.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of it. Incidentally, Reggie Middleton, shout out there. He's got a patent that basically makes almost everyone else in the market infringe, and he can sue their eyelids off. And I'm glad that we are humble enough to talk to him and go, like there is that interesting like overlap between like man's law and God's law, code is law versus, are humans in control? Like there's all these like nuanced issues that need to be resolved. And there's the neener. I'm going to put my fingers in my ear and just pretend I can't hear you, stick my head in the sand.
Did you speak to him?
Yeah, we've been talking quite a bit, and I think strategically it will make sense for us to look at proactively throwing him a bit of a license fee, just so that we are able to say that we alone have protection against that. Everybody else is saying, "Oh, screw you! Like, you can't touch my code!" Ha ha ha. Well, guess what? The men with the guns, the long arm of the law, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind very finely. And so we've got the ability through our relationship with Reggie to make a deal where we do not have that risk. And you remember Apple versus Samsung, or some of these big IP battles. There's going to be a drag on everyone trying to innovate in this sector that is taking the position that they can just ignore these things and hope that they won't be the one that goes and gets popped. But I think there's exposure here. I mean, basically, the way I can take so much issue with intellectual property law. Don't even get me started. The question of whether it should be this way is an important one, and I think where really most of the energy should lie in figuring out how to resolve these things long term. But the fact of the matter is, today Uniswap is $20 billion of value that most I think legal professionals would agree with me that they owe a big chunk of their money to Reggie Middleton based on that patent. And so, yeah, maybe it takes 5-10 years to play out, but imagine the strategic positioning of XRP. Like they're what, $40 billion, and they've got that sword of Damocles hanging over their head at the anytime the SEC comes and wants to throw another shell onto the battlefield that can tank the price of XRP. If you've got a $10 million transaction in motion, oops, now it's 5 million because something happened. That's no good. And so we've been able to engineer out through our not just technical design, but our business and social design, those risks. So I think we really do get great high marks on survivability.
Awesome. Okay, it's 12:10, everyone. I know we all
I need to say something about the patent.
Okay, great.
Now, I've never read it. I refuse to read it. I refuse to read any patents. And the community, the technical community is not involved in these discussions.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't read it either. This is more of a market positioning decision. Like, are we quantum ready, or quantum proof? Is it on the shelf? How close it is to break glass in terms of so this is just I agree that's the right stance to take, but I also see a chance to be bright, shiny leader as far as enlightened, forward thinking on this front, just like we were on multi-algorithm and Mimblewimble and some of the other technical choices we made.
It's always a pleasure, Uncle.
Thank you, guys. So yeah, we will next week we'll be back at our regular, non-regular time of 10. What's that?
I have an announcement. Can I show you something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I have to bring it up here. Gotta find it. Too many windows open. Here we go.
Oh, this is a thing of beauty. Oh my God.
Talk to me.
The tech team has been hard at work on improving our technical communications, and the Epic Cash weekly tech newsletter is a cornucopia of interesting observations and insights about how Epic actually works. It's an update on our work for the week, and lots of good analysis and commentary about different technical aspects of how the system works.
Where can people find that if they would like to read it?
In Telegram, and the community managers can spread it all around.
Okay, that's awesome. So this is a weekly Epic Cash newsletter, and I just have to tell
from the tech team.
From the tech team. That's awesome. So it's so funny. There's this guy, his name is CK. He's in this small chat that I'm in on Telegram. And he came in blazing at me about how our tech team hasn't done shit. All we've done lied and lied. to them. We should have our ECR by now, and you guys were late on E3 and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, you're living in the past and you're not paying attention. You can, yeah, CK, why don't you come visit us at t.me/epic cash, and we will have certainly some of the mods, link to this so that you can go talk about how our tech team isn't doing shit.
Well, we're trying to do a better job of talking about and communicating the work that we're doing, and I'm really proud of the guys. Communication isn't always the primary thing engineers are good at.
And I can take responsibility for or my share of the blame for not communicating as much as I would like on what I know is going on. So when Todd says the tech team, what he means is the core protocol team based out of Brazil that's working with the Rust code of the Epic chain itself. But there's so much innovation going on across the whole landscape. Poolboy and his team out of Germany has been working on an improved wallet that integrates the node and is easier to use and so forth. He's been working hard for weeks. Alpha Eyes and Duke have been working on eDex and its various parts. That's coming along together great. Henry is working on Eon, E1, the wrapped Epic stuff. That's Alex and Johnny. Lico and Diego have been working hard on the mobile wallet. Carthy and Pime have been figuring out how to use the Definity Internet Computer Protocol to do EDNA, Epicenter Data and Network Analytics. So getting into the chain analytics and Explorer, 2.0 type of stuff. So all in all, there's about a dozen different tech tracks that are spinning. And just like with this update today, people will be able to see what is going on, what has been going on, but just hasn't been communicated, because you can either communicate or do not both. And now we can do both. So we're going to be increasingly communicating a lot more about all this amazing stuff that's going on. And it's really a ton. It's overwhelming.
But dude, when moon?
Yeah, well, I mean, June 12th, Mike Mumola's interview at the NASDAQ airs. Also, our people are going to be at the Consensus and Decentral conferences on the 8th. Yoga and Mike Mumola are going down there. There's awesome. A number of, there's going to be a couple hundred people at a.
That's Chris putting that on, right?
Yeah. Chris put that on. I won't mention the specific names.
And shout out to Chris. I love his shout outs. That's it. You got to go to the interview and shout out to Chris. I love his shout outs. That's all.
Yeah. We are really primed. We can't, price is an output. We can't control what comes out. All we can control is the effort that we put in. And so my key metric, what I really focus on most is looking at the amount of effort that people are putting into what we're doing. The stuff that Batuhan's doing in Turkey, Oscar Mozharov, Epic Fund Me for Ukraine. He's fighting this weekend. Outreach, Trillions. I mean, we've got a couple hundred people that all have their oar in the water and are waking up to the fact that, oh, wow, you mean if I go do something today, it doesn't seem like it matters. All I did was set up one friend of mine with the wallet. But yes, it does. If we all take those little steps and start working together, we are so close to where we want to get to. We really are.
Yeah,
we also can control our goals and intentions, right? Mm-hmm. And what we're trying to do is create superior money, right?
Right.
If we create superior money, then won't the rest of it take care of itself?
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Create superior money and tell the story to the world about what money is and how we're moving the ball down the field of the original mission of what cryptocurrency is supposed to be, which is a technical solution to the money problem.
Peer-to-peer electronic cash, permissionless payments on an open public blockchain that's borderless, trust minimized, censorship resistant, and neutral. We are really, all we're doing is getting back to the place that held so much promise that got us all so excited back in 2009. We've forgotten essential truths about what it is we're trying to do here. And it's refreshing that people like Chris and those who have the eyes to see are appreciating what we're doing finally.
And it's amazing if you think about it. I mean, literally, we look at the price and we're like, oh, it's trading around $1. But do you guys realize that there's only 2 BTC worth of Epic Cash for sale? Right? I mean, come on, you do the math for me, Max. I mean, at some point in time, there's going to be a Chris champion or somebody who
50 grand thrown down onto VTech doubles the quoted number. Couple $100 grand. I mean, somebody that has, $1 million in BTC.
Max, I'm still accumulating. Will you shut up?
Yeah,
Shut up, man.
I know.
This is on YouTube. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm right there in the same boat. What would be stronger than diamond hands? Carborundum hands, maybe?
Yeah.
Silicon carbide hands?
Nanotubes.
I don't know.
I don't know.
And Uncle V, next week we'll march the ball down the field a little more.
I love it. All right, man. Well, here is an assignment for your young physician to be. I want to see another body part next week. Can
we show them another one next week, buddy? Would
you please?
Right.
maybe a leg, or maybe a skull, or just.
He did a kidney yesterday.
Okay, kidneys work, but we want something new and refreshed.
A kidney is too easy.
Yeah, kidney's too easy. Why don't we try a full leg next week? Would that work for you, buddy? That'd be kind of cool.
All right, we'll work on it together.
All right, game on, guys. All right, cheers. Thanks everyone in the chat. Max, thank you. Appreciate you coming on, and we will see you all Friday. Epic Cash Live, noon Eastern. All right. Cheers, everyone.